In today's video, we're looking at an L-shape arrangement, which is exactly what it says on the tin. It's an arrangement that's shaped like the letter L. It's a very severe right-angled arrangement, but looks gorgeous on a mantelpiece or an altar. If this is something that you would like to learn, then keep watching today's tutorial. Welcome back to another tutorial. Now I'm going to look today at creating an L-shape arrangement, and an L-shape arrangement is different to an asymmetrical triangle. So if you think about the word L, we're going to create an L, so it's more streamlined, more exact, more precise, whereas an asymmetrical triangle is an unbalanced triangle. So they are two different designs, and try not to get them confused because they follow slightly different guidelines. Now you might have already noticed by my floral foam, I've set it off center. Now today's design is an unbalanced design. It comes straight down and across. So if we put our foam into the center, it means that it's going to be quite difficult to cover the tray on this side. So we need to position our foam off to one side. L shapes or asymmetrical designs quite often work really nicely on either side of an altar or a mantelpiece. They look great on a fireplace too. And an L-shape arrangement often has less flowers in it than an unbalanced triangle, although today I've got quite a nice selection of flowers and greenery. And the greenery is what I'm going to create my height with. Now today I don't have a container to work my measurements from, so we can really go as tall or as short as we want. But if you think about the letter L, it has a tall vertical line and then a horizontal shorter line coming off to one side. And because I'm right-handed, I tend to find it easier to work with my shorter side coming off to my right hand side, but that might vary if you're left-handed. You might want to go the opposite way. So what I've done is I've started to the left of the center. So if you think about your center line, because the design is going to be longer on one side than the other, we don't want to start in the middle of our foam. Otherwise my first placement of greenery is going to be in the middle. So then I'm going to come off to the right to create that L shape, and I'm going to use the same greenery to start my outline shape. Now this is Garden Bay. It's a little bit raggedy at the moment, but you know, we are in the winter, so it's not looking its best. And if you think about an L shape, the side placement isn't as long as the height. You can, if you want to, go longer. I suppose it would depend on the position that you're putting it in. But the L shape, the outline that I've created for that L is taller than it is wide. And this is going to go slightly taller in a minute because I'm going to add some pussy willow. But there is nothing stopping you making this L shape longer if you prefer. Or you could even reverse the measurements and have almost like an upside down L, being the shorter placement here and the longer placement over there. Bay has created the outline, and then what I need to do is to create almost a flat section on this side here. If we bring this side out too far, then we're going to get that triangle shape, and really what I want to do is to create an L. So for example, if I bring this out any longer, I'm going to have a triangle shape, not that severe right angle that we see with an L. And that's why we didn't want to put this foam too close to the middle of the tray, because it would have been really difficult to cover. And I'm just going to use a few shorter pieces of the bay just to make sure that the corner of my design is neat and I've covered as much of that tray as I possibly can. What I'm not going to do is bring greenery into this part because that makes it an unbalanced triangle. But what I am going to do is bring some out towards the front, and my front part is in line with the height. Maybe that's a little bit too long, so let's cut that a bit shorter. So the front, which is our profile, is directly underneath the vertical position of my first piece of greenery. And what I want to do next is to fill in this area here. So I'm going to extend the length out from the diagonal position to finish off that width. Now I'm mainly using bay for this part of the arrangement, But you could mix the greenery, you could have some flatter foliages if you prefer. But I'm going to work with the bay, and some of these leaves are quite long, so I'm going to add in a few single leaves just underneath where I've put the stem, and that's going to give me a nice bit of variation and to cover the front part. Now I haven't yet done anything at the back, and I haven't worried about filling in this section here, but I am going to blend in some conifer just in amongst that flat leaf. Now the flat leaf of the bay is quite dominant, and I just wanted to have a bit of variation in texture. Conifer is not something that I readily use, and I think it's because I'm trained as a florist, and back in the 90s, the noughties, and a little bit before that, we used to do a tremendous amount of funeral work that used conifer. So I think I'm a bit snobby when it comes to conifer, because we used to use it a lot in funeral wreaths. But the texture is always so lovely on conifer, and many of you that are here in the UK will probably be able to get hold of it. You might have it growing in your own garden. I'm going to bring a little up to the back as well, so that that colour and texture is brought really through from the tallest point of my arrangement down here to the front where the focal point is going to be, out towards the shorter side, and it's continued all the way through to the longer part as well. So most traditional designs have the same greenery all throughout the arrangement. It creates visual movement, which we call rhythm and repetition. And if you're not sure what rhythm and repetition is, and you don't know about the elements and principles of design, then if you follow the link that's in the description box, you can have a free downloadable PDF document that you can download to your phone or your laptop or your computer, which gives you a basic understanding of the elements and principles of design. My next piece of greenery, which gives you a hint of the colour combination that I'm going to be using today, this is Lyphomyrus. I've used this a lot recently because it's from my garden, and I've been waiting for several years for it to get big enough for me to cut. So this is just lovely. It's a pinky brownish sort of red. It connects nicely with peach colours, pink, oranges. You could use it in the autumn. I find it quite slow growing. I'm not sure if anybody else has it in their garden and it's faster growing for you, but I find it a little bit on the slow side. So every year for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been looking longingly out of the window at it, but resisting cutting it. So Lyphomyrus, that's how I'm pronouncing it. I'm not quite sure if that's the right way. Its common name is red dragon. Now I mentioned just now the elements and principles of design, and if you're really unsure about the rules and the guidelines that we tend to follow in floral design, then I have that free downloadable PDF guide, but I also have a more in-depth guide both for care and conditioning of your flowers and for the elements and principles of design. And you'll find a link in the description box which will take you to the website, and you can purchase a copy to download to your device. And if you're a florist studying in college, I think it's an invaluable guide. I had to learn the elements and principles of design when I was in college, and we had to be able to recite them. And it's a set of guidelines, rules that I've applied all my floral designs to over the years. So it's something that I think is important to learn. So I've done the same with that peachy brown foliage. It comes down and across to exaggerate the L shape. I'm not filling in this bit here because that will turn it into an asymmetrical triangle. And don't forget, if you're struggling with the terminology that I use in the videos, then you've only got to ask in the comment box and I can explain what I'm talking about. Now this lovely textured material I have here is a pussy willow. This is a commercially available one, but you can get this to grow in the garden. And I'm going to use this just to slightly increase the height. This is what we would refer to as a line material, and it really helps draw your eye up to the end of the arrangement. And I'm going to use the shorter one to really strengthen the L shape, and it's almost like a really severe right angle. It's like we're repeating the corner of a door or the corner of a building. It's quite a strict shape. And from a previous video that I've done, I've got this strange little shaped piece of the pussy willow, which I'm going to add in there towards the front. Now you'll notice I haven't extended the length on this side here. If you think of a bookend, we are trying to create that really severe L, which I think I've said quite a few times in this video. Now my colour combination for today is peaches, pink and an apricot sort of shade, and I'm going to start next with a really vibrant cerise rose. This one is called Takazi, and you might have seen the same flowers a few times in recent videos because I ordered a big delivery of flowers in so I could do multiple videos. But what I'm going to do with the Takazi, with this lovely cerise shade, is start up quite tall. So if we bring one here and then we bring our eye downwards and crossways, we're going to exaggerate that L shape. I've got 5 roses, so what I'm looking to do is to fairly evenly distribute that colour, and I've formed the outline shape, and really all I need to do is follow in the pattern that I've created with the greenery. Now when I'm teaching workshops here in the studio, most florists or hobby-based flower arrangers are so keen to get their flowers in, they don't create the shape first of all. And I think it's important that the shape is created first and then you fill in with the flowers. What happens if you put your flowers in first? And some designs suit the flowers going in first. But if you put your flowers in first, you then often damage your flowers by trying to feed all the greenery in underneath and around the flowers to cover the base. So think about covering your mechanics first, getting your foliage in around the base first before rushing to add in your flowers. I've strengthened the height and I've strengthened the width. Now I need to connect that together with another rose in the middle, which is almost like my focal flower. Remove any petals that are damaged. If you don't like the leaves on it, you can remove those as well. And what I don't want to do is bring this flower longer than the profile length I've already created. We just need to pop it in. So we're stepping forward to create depth. I've already created width and I've already created the height. And those are the 3 important factors in a floral design: height, width and depth. And if it's a geometric shape like this, you need to have a clear outline. We don't always have a clear outline, particularly in more trendy designs that are popular at the moment on the internet and for wedding work. But if you're a traditional flower arranger or if you're working in a traditional shop, then these styles are very much in demand in a flower shop. I know many of the trendy new florists that are coming through tend to have one style and one shape that they reproduce over and over and over again. But a good trained florist will be able to produce lots of different shapes and different designs. So the next flower that I'm going to be putting in is the fabulous Ranunculus. Now, if you're in the spring, in the country that you're watching me from, then there's a possibility that you might be able to get the Ranunculus from a local grower. These have been imported, but they are available from British growers at the moment. And what I'm going to do with them is continue that pattern and that line that I've already created. So the colour starts high. I've placed 2 in so far, 1 as tall as I can get, and then I'm stepping them down in just the same manner as I did with the rose. The Ranunculus is a soft stem flower. It almost has papery thin petals that look like a mini peony. And I'm going to keep adding them in just down, creating that focal line there down through the middle. And one thing to remember with a soft stem flower like a Ranunculus is to cut it straight at the bottom when it's going into foam. Don't cut it at an angle. There isn't enough strength in the bottom of that stem to push it into the foam when it's cut at a diagonal. Cut it nice and straight. And if necessary, you can internally support wire it with a 70 gauge wire. Don't do what you see on the internet when they force a wire down through the top. Always take it up from the bottom. Now I can start to move that visual line over onto the longer side, which is my right side. And just like I extended the colour all the way up to the top here, I need to do that on the opposite side. If you have an option, go for the smaller Ranunculus or any small flower on the outside. So the outside is here, here and here. Bigger flowers towards the focal point. So this is the smaller of the ranunculus heads. These have been in the studio for probably about a week now, so they are starting to open up quite nicely. And if you're buying supermarket flowers or you're picking flowers from the garden, you might not have the option to put bigger flowers towards the middle. You might just have to work with whatever you've been able to get hold of. I'm obviously a commercial florist, so I have access to lots of flowers, but that's not always feasible if you're limited to the selection of flowers that you have. So a beautifully elegant design. And next I'm going to add in some spray carnations. You might have seen these before on a previous video. Let's just get rid of that little section here. Now if you feel there's too much going on the head and there's too many flowers, you can always cut it down. It can sometimes be quite economical if you reduce the size of the head of your flowers, because you can use the offcuts further down in an arrangement. But I quite like the shape on that one. And again, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Start as high as I can, below the foliage outline, and I'm going to keep using that quite unusual coloured spray carnation. I'm going to keep using it all the way down and then back off to the right hand side. This one I think is Miss India. What I don't like about this stem here is this one is shooting off to one side, and if I put that in this position here, it's coming really far into the centre of my arrangement, and that is going to make it too wide. So I'm going to snip that one off and bring it just a little lower down in the arrangement. So the colour is still there, but the amount of colour and that texture of the flower is not too heavy on the inside. A little lower down, I'm going to bring in some more. Don't go too wide, remember. If you feel it's gone too wide, which I do, this one here is sticking out a bit too far, I'm just going to chop that one off and bring it in lower down. So remember, we're not making that triangular shape. We're not coming out really far on this side here, because that's going to make it triangular and not an L shape. Here, we need to have that strong right angle. And then with the little flowers that I've cut off, I'm going to bring it over so that it joins up with the longer horizontal placement there on what is my right hand side. So we can see that the colour starts here, comes down and it comes across, but we're definitely missing in the middle there of that unusual coloured spray carnation. So I can use a couple of the offshoots, a couple of the smaller pieces that I didn't use in previous designs, just to link the colour together. And that's really what we're trying to do. If you've put some flowers at the top, then you need to try and link them in all different parts of the arrangement. That one's a bit stubborn, doesn't want to go where I want it. I'm thinking we need something lower down, so what I'm going to do is recess a flower down here towards the foam. That's going to help cover the foam and create recession, which is important in a design because it gives you depth. Now I did contemplate in the very beginning putting another of the ranunculus in this area here, and I've decided that I'm going to go with that. Cut it short and tuck it in quite close here. I'm feeling that that area is lacking in a bigger flower, and I'm thinking that works much better. What I'm also going to do at this stage is pop a ranunculus down quite low, just in that corner where that right angle is, because it's going to help define the shape more clearly. Now, if you've not made an L-shape arrangement before, you're really not going to confuse it with a triangle. So what I think I will do after I finish this one is I'll change this into an asymmetrical triangle, and then you can see the difference in the two shapes. But other than add some greenery in at the back, this design is finished. So any short pieces of the bay that I didn't use and the conifer I can tuck in here at the back. It's always important to have weight at the back of your arrangement so it doesn't tip forward. If you are considering putting this on a mantelpiece, then you might be restricted with the length of the greenery you can put on the back, because a mantelpiece isn't particularly wide. It's always important to cover your floral foam, because if you don't cover it, the water is going to evaporate off really quickly. I probably could have done with a bit more bay to cover the back in, but that will do for today's video. What I haven't done is built up the greenery in this position here, because that will spoil the clear L shape that I've tried to create. In a few weeks time, come back, because you'll be able to see a tutorial where I change this L shape into an unbalanced triangle. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell to be told every time I upload a new tutorial. Like, share and comment in the box below, and please ask as many questions as you want. Don't forget, we have a care and conditioning guide available to buy over on the website, and an elements and principles of design guide. It's amazing value. There's so much information there for you to help you along on your floral journey. Thanks as ever for watching. Tune in again to see this in a different form, and I look forward to seeing you for the next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.